Thanks for tuning in live to Proline TV, the Our Football Network, as we're going to talk some Clemson Tigers football first this evening, followed by our Penn State football show, the Whiteout Report. That's going to be coming up at the bottom of the hour as Marty and Dylan will preview the game against UCLA. Before we get to that, though, let's bring in Phil Kornblut from Sports Talk SC, as the Clemson Tigers are off to a sluggish start so far. It's a bye week. They're coming off the bye. They're going to be playing this Saturday against North Carolina. And Phil, I've got a lot of questions to ask you in a short period of time, so I hope you're ready.
Fire away.
Let's get going. All right. First of all, let's start with what looks on the outside to be the biggest reason that there have been some struggles with the team personnel-wise, and that, of course, is the absence of their star wide receiver, Antonio Williams.
But he is back, and he played in the Syracuse game, so he is ready to go. And when they go to North Carolina, they're going to have their complete team. Looks like their offensive line, the guys who've been banged up, who've been out, they'll be back. Antonio Williams is back. The safeties who've been banged up, I think they're all back. This is what Dabo Swinney said on Tuesday. So he said had they played a game this past weekend, they would have been minus some people. But the off week was good for them to get healthy. So he's going to take a healthy squad up to North Carolina physically. And then mentally, the Tigers have spent the past couple of weeks since they lost to Syracuse doing a lot of self-reflection. Not a whole lot of finger pointing. It's been cool in the locker room as far as we can tell. They did have a team meeting last week, kind of laid everything out. Then on Tuesday at his press conference, Swinney he made it a point to point the finger at himself and his coaches. And he said, this is our fault. This is the coach's fault. We got the players. We have the program. We have everything we need to win football games. We, the coaches, are not doing the job. And he said, we're just not taking these players and getting the most out of them. And that has been their thing over the last 8 or 9 days since they last played. Coach them better. Take these players and make them better and get more out of them, and then see what the product is on the field Saturday in Chapel Hill.
What do you think about that? Because again, from the outside perspective, I look at you lose a guy like Antonio Williams, and that is a major loss. But I have not seen, again, any sort of improvement from some of the younger receivers like TJ Moore, Tyler Brown. I haven't seen them step up. Again, this is just from my perspective. So, is there something else missing personnel-wise or coaching-wise that Dabo said on the offensive side first?
Well, having watched Clemson a long, long time and recalling the glory years of national championship teams and what they did well, those teams had big play capabilities and took their shots down the field. One thing that they have not done regularly under Garrett Riley is take deep shots down the field. They haven't tried to expose defenses deep, really, with a quarterback and receivers like they do have, and they do have a good group of receivers. I think Bryant Wesco is having an all-ACC caliber year. Sure. Moore had a better game against Syracuse. Brown has been okay. He's been okay, and Williams has just come back. So they've got their pretty much their full boat of receivers ready to go. Klubnik has obviously got to be better. Sometimes he throws a beautiful ball and he puts it right where very few quarterbacks can put it. And then sometimes he misses a wide open receiver at the most inopportune times. And then his reading ability is still suspect. His decision-making is still suspect. These are things that are hurting their offense because it's in his hands. The ball is in his hands, and he's not always making that proper read. He's not always making that right decision on an RPO, and it kills drives for them. I mean, again, the Clemson offense has a ceiling of 24 points. Now, going back over, and I ran this stat last week, but it's like their last 8 or 9 games, in only one of those games against FBS programs, against Power 4 programs, I think was the stat, like in only one of those games have they eclipsed 24 points. Everything else has been 24 and below. So they have a ceiling, it appears, of 24 points at this time. And we'll see. They're facing a pretty bad North Carolina team.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, this is an opportunity to go get right. And the other thing that they're selling, of course, and we'll see if the players are buying, and I'm sure Dabo Swinney is selling this. Yeah, we're 1-3 and we're 0-2, but there are 6 ACC games left, and all you got to do is get to second place.
That's
all
it.
you got to do is get to second place. You got to have the right people lose, and you got to win out, and you'll have a chance. And that's what Dabo Swinney is telling his guys as they try to get their head right moving forward here the next phase of the season.
Yeah, as you can see here, right now they're 55. Who would have thought at this point in the season Clemson would be 55-1 to win the ACC? But that's where they are right now. And we all know that they have the talent because, like you said, they're now healthy as they've been all season. So they have the same players that we talked about in the beginning of the season about being an ACC championship type of club. And so, as you mentioned, they don't have to worry about, let's just say, Miami. Let's just say let's say we'll meet Miami in the ACC championship game. Then they've got some of these other games on their schedule, which is good. Not all of them, but I think the thing that sticks out the most to me is the loss to Georgia Tech. So that's like a situation where probably they're going to have to hope for some sort of 3-way tie that works in their favor. I don't know if Georgia Tech will lose 3 times in this season. It could happen. Obviously, one of them could have happened last week. Would have been nice for Clemson fans. But yeah, so what do you think about that? The prospects of this team actually making that type of a run?
Well, honestly, with Clemson, I never count them out until they are out. And so they're not out yet. The ACC is such a weak league. And you're right. Last weekend, they could have had several things break their way, and they nearly did. Georgia Tech was losing to Wake Forest. They came back to win. That would have helped Clemson. Louisville was losing to Pittsburgh. They came back to win. That would have helped Clemson down the road. So they had some things kind of lined up in their favor, but it just didn't happen all the way through. They certainly could use – see, they've got Florida State coming up at home. They've got SMU coming up at home. They've got Duke coming up at home. So –
and Louisville on the road.
And Louisville on the road.
Yep.
So they play their toughest games. I don't know how good Louisville is right now, to be honest with you, but I do know SMU's good, and I do know Florida State's good, and Duke with their quarterback. The way they went up and beat Syracuse, though I know Syracuse is now hurting without their quarterback. But Duke helped Clemson by beating Syracuse, and Clemson gets to play Duke a little bit later on. Again, all these teams have got to have a couple of losses. And Clemson's got to contribute to that to have the tiebreaker, but they still need some help, some big-time help. Remember, just got to get to second place. So let's just say Georgia Tech runs the table, and let's say Florida State beats Miami this weekend. That'll help Clemson because then they get to play Florida State, but you got to beat Florida State, and somebody else has got to beat them. But I'm just saying it's possible. They do have life from that standpoint. So that's how they're going to approach it starting Saturday at North Carolina.
Okay. In the time we have left, what about, because the major coaching change came from the defensive side with Tom Allen. Has that been an issue?
I think Dabo Swinney still really respects Tom Allen. And, I mean, look, the defense, even though they had their trouble stopping Syracuse, I mean, Syracuse ran for, 285 yards, I think it was. So they obviously had trouble there. They have been in every game from a points standpoint. They're not playing complementary football. You know, when the offense has not stepped up to help bail out the defense when the defense needs help. When the defense pitches a good game like they did against LSU, they're not scoring any points. So the complementary phase of football, to win games just hasn't been there thus far. Again, they have to hope that it starts on Saturday in Chapel Hill. I think Tom Allen's fine. I think for some reason they are getting some underperformance up front. Peter Woods, TJ Parker has been invisible much of the season. Linebacking core looks okay. They've been a little bit beat up in the secondary. They've had some trouble. Ashton Hampton, one of their corners, has had a lot of trouble defending. He has trouble with not with his vision per se. He has trouble having his eyes in the right place. He's peeking into the backfield in man coverage, and he's getting beat down the field. This is things the coaches will point out. So they've had some issues with that. It all falls back on Tom Allen as the new defensive coordinator. But I still think, by and large, the head coach is well, he's not happy with any of his assistant coaches.
Yeah.
He's not happy with himself.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's making any changes or anything like that. Plus, Tom Allen just got a 3-year contract, I think, to come there. So they just got to get better across the board. And, he pulled out the sword and he fell on it on Tuesday at his press conference and said, it's all on us as coaches to get these guys better. And we'll see what the product looks like on Saturday.
Yeah, because just looking at the stats, 100th in turnover margin, 102nd in third down percentage, 117th in fourth down percentage, 93rd in the red zone. So those are a lot of key numbers that does have to do not necessarily all the time with talent, but just with playing together and making the right reads or the right calls, or just making sure that you make the plays that you have to make in order to win football games. And they're just too talented to be playing this poorly. That's
the thing. Everybody knows they've got talent. Obviously, they've got NFL talent. You look at these guys, you grade them for the NFL. That going into this season, there was talk of Clemson having, 4 or 5 first-round picks. Klubnik was going to be the first pick of the draft.
Yeah.
And Antonio Williams was going to be a first-round pick. And Peter Woods and T.J. Parker and Will Held. Now, Will Held has held his own. He's played very well coming from Purdue. And so on and so forth. And I don't know, more about this than I do. There's the season, and you perform in the season. And then if you're moving to the league, there are your workouts, and there's the combine. And I don't know how much you guys and the NFL scouts, how much weight they put on the actual season versus how much weight they put on those individual workouts in the combine that can raise or lower the draft status of a prospect. But going into this season, Clemson had projected number 1 draft picks as anybody in the country, if not more.
And you can't blame it on, they spent money on all these transfers and it's ruined the locker room. No, this is the one program that out of all the programs besides the academies that doesn't have to worry about that. They have the most experience coming back maybe in all of college football from the same players that were here last year. So there's none of that, which is also making it more surprising. In closing, Phil, the game is at 12 o'clock. North Carolina, they've beaten the Tar Heels 6 straight times. I guess the big question is what's going to happen at quarterback for North Carolina. But overall, the talent disparity is just night and day between these two programs right now. And that's why I think you put it really well when you said, look, it starts in North Carolina, and it does. Because if they can't go out there and blow out North Carolina, and I don't care how they do it, but just come away with a 20 to 30 point win, then I'm not sure anything changed.
Yeah, I tell you, keep an eye on this moving forward. One of the things that made Clemson so good during their greatest years, their quick strike ability early in games.
Okay.
They would hit you time and time again, whether you received the ball first and they stopped you and they got the ball or vice versa. They would strike deep their first possession. They'd put you in an early hole. I can remember going to Syracuse a few years ago, and I think it was during I think it was Trevor Lawrence years. Syracuse had a good team, and the place is jam-packed, and they're thinking they're going to beat Clemson, and Clemson got the ball in the first play, first or second play, and I think it was Jacoby Ford maybe, and he threw a 70-yard pass to maybe it was Jacoby Ford or one of the other receivers. Boom, they were on the scoreboard before the cheerleaders have sat down for the first time, and it just sapped the energy out of the whole building. But that was a different offensive coordinator. That was kind of a different mindset. Garrett Riley, he's got to kind of loosen up the reins and cut these horses loose and take some chances down the field and try and strike early and kind of put that fear in the hearts of opposing defenses that don't fear Clemson anymore offensively.
Well, Dabo is still there, and he knows exactly what you're talking about, and maybe that's part of the coaching that he's talking about, as well as we have to go back and do what Clemson football does best, and we'll see if that's going to happen on Saturday. Either way, we have got links in the description, so you can check out Phil and Sports Talk SC for all the best Clemson and also South Carolina football. Not only has it been a disappointing season so far for Clemson, but likewise for the South Carolina Gamecocks. So hopefully both of those programs will get this season kickstarted in some fashion, Phil. And I look forward to getting the opportunity to talk to you again, maybe when things are going a lot better later this season. Maybe the Tigers can get back into this and we can talk about some really big games later this season.
Well, they certainly hope so. They've got the chance here starting this weekend to put some wins together before their next open date, latter part of October. But they got to play more complimentary, complete football. We'll see if they're capable. And the Gamecocks, they beat Kentucky, so they're feeling good about themselves. And boy, they have got an unbelievable. We need to talk later on because, I mean, you've got, I think it's number 3, number 4, number 5, number 7, and number 13 coming up.
It?
AP ranked teams. They're the next 5 games, and 3 of those are on the road, including LSU a week from Saturday. So, they might be getting better and they might be good, but it might not be reflected in the 1-loss record unless they really escalate their game here moving forward.
Thanks, Phil. I know you're busy. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you real soon again.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you. Anytime.
Thanks, Phil. All right, again, Phil Kornblut from Sports Talk SC. Again, coming up, our Penn State Whiteout pregame show. Penn State taking on UCLA following their loss to Oregon on Saturday night. Hopefully you had an opportunity to watch the postgame show. You can watch the Penn State UCLA postgame show this Saturday as well. For Phil Kornblut, I'm Greg DePalma. We'll see you next time right here on Proline TV. And stay tuned in just a couple of minutes for the Penn State Whiteout pregame report.